Image copyright Getty Images. In Washington this week, the U.S. and China are due to hold their highest-level talks since the two sides struck a temporary truce to their trade war. They have until the 1st of March to come up with some sort of compromise or tariffs will be hiked again, and we march back into a trade fight that affects us all. China watchers tell me Beijing is under increasing pressure to make a deal. Here's why. A slowing economy. The trade war may not have caused China's slowdown, but it is definitely making things worse. Growth data released last week showed China posted the slowest growth rate since 1990, but that in itself is not as worrying as other data points, including that consumer sentiment and retail sales are flatlining or weakening fast. Small and medium-sized companies in China are feeling the chill with lower orders and inventories. Just how much pressure the Communist Party is facing because of a weakening economy was reflected in a rare acknowledgement by President Xi Jinping, whose legitimacy is based in part in keeping China strong, losing its factory luster. There is also evidence to show that foreign firms are diversifying their sourcing, production and supply chains away from China, if not pulling out altogether. This recent survey conducted by QiMa, a leading Asian supply chain auditor, shows that 30% of more than 100 global businesses are diverting their sourcing from China to other countries. Image copyright Getty Images. As many as 3/4 of these companies have started sourcing suppliers in new countries. If this trend continues, then jobs in Chinese factories are at risk. A recent report looking at China's economy by J.P. Morgan points to rising unemployment as a major near-term risk. Social stability is predicated on China's economic stability, and the Communist Party is well aware that its credibility lies in delivering the Chinese dream to its people. The Huawei factor. The fate of Huawei also hangs in the balance, both from a business and diplomatic standpoint. China is big on symbolism and doesn't believe in coincidences. Anna Tianjin, an advisor on economic affairs for the Chinese government, told me on the line from Beijing. Mr. Tianjin pointed to the arrest of Bang Wanzhou, the daughter of Huawei founder, which took place on the day President Xi and U.S. President Donald Trump met at the G20 summit and declared the temporary truce between the two sides, setting the 90-day deadline for talks. Another date looms next week, with the latest round of talks taking place on the day the U.S. has to file the extradition treaty for Ms. Meng. Both of these dates are seen as attempts by the U.S. to use Huawei as leverage in the trade talks, says Mr. Tianjin. The U.S. is also reportedly preparing an investigation into Huawei which could see it banned from buying American chips, a move that crippled China's ZTE last year. Image copyright Getty Images. Mr. Tianjin warns that pushing Beijing will backfire. The Chinese see this as the U.S. trying to push China down, he says. This is not about right or wrong. They view this in context of the 100 years of humiliation they suffered at the hands of the West, and they don't want that repeated. American firms want a deal, but the U.S. is also under pressure to make a deal. American firms in China have complained about the impact of Trump's tariffs on their business but want the U.S. to make a good deal. This administration has been willing to risk the health of the U.S. economy with tariffs, says Stephen Coe, international trade partner at law firm McKinsey in Washington, D.C. So now that we've come this far, businesses want to take advantage of this moment and walk away from these talks with something significant. They will want to see China's offer to buy more American goods along with promises of systemic changes. A solution to the U.S.-China trade war is good for us all. The longer these two superpowers slap tariffs on each other's goods, the more expensive products will be for us, companies will report lower profits, and global growth will slow. Both sides are under pressure to make a deal. But this is ultimately, as Mr. Coe also points out, a game of chicken. Whoever blinks first could also be the biggest loser.